Real Madrid, they really needed that win to just stay within 1 point of top of the table. Barcelona winning as well on Tuesday. Now, Kylian Mbappé scoring 2 goals yesterday. He now has, 7 goals in his last 3 games across all competitions. Is this the best version of Kylian Mbappé that we're seeing, Nico?
I don't know. The best version of Kylian Mbappé that I saw was at World Cup finals. Being so decisive in the big games. And sure, for Real Madrid, and let's talk about Real Madrid standards, they need him to perform in the big games. This is incredible to watch. You're building towards something if you're Kylian Mbappé. World class. I mean, the way that he brought that ball down in his finish on that first goal is sublime. But once Real Madrid gets closer to the end of the season, we're talking about March, April, when you have one-off games, a second leg in the Champions League, that's where you need him to perform. That's where you need him to put 2 past whoever it is in a very authoritative manner. I go back to Champions League final, PSG versus Dortmund, where PSG should have beat Dortmund, and Mbappé went ghost. That's not what they brought him here for, right? Like, again, this is the Real Madrid season just getting started. They have bigger fish to fry than beating a defeated Athletic Club team in San Mamés.
Yeah, I take your point on that. I also think as well, because he's been doing it for so long already, that we make him older than he is. He's 26 years of age. So those moments he's had already in his career will stand him in great stead now. And I think Real Madrid are getting the best version of him because he's been questioned, he's been targeted with some unfair criticism. This season he's played 22 games, got 24 goals. If Ronaldo was doing this, if Messi was doing this, we'd be talking about best players in the world, greatest to ever do it. He's doing it really well. He's tweaked his game as a striker.
He's more of a 9 now, isn't he?
But he's also understood when to run. What you can see, he's been working on it. Again, I always go back to the El Clasico against Barcelona. He was caught offside 12 times in one game. That wasn't because that high line of Barcelona is so aggressive, but it's also so nuanced that it knows when to go and when not to. It was just because he was running early. He was just so impatient. I think now we're seeing a version of him that's like calm. I know who I am. There was a bit of a power struggle last year with Vinicius Junior on the left, Mbappé coming in, Jude, a lot of big personalities, and he's now staked his claim as the main man. And I think we're going to see the best of him, not only this season, but also going into the World Cup.
Now, if Mbappé played tennis, sure, he'd be winning everything because that's that relies on just one person. But Real Madrid can't just rely on one person. It feels like no matter how good Mbappé has been this season, Real Madrid, Nico, they have been struggling.
Okay, totally agree. But Kylian Mbappé falls into the category of players that he has so much quality, he can decide a game for himself. Yeah. Just like Haaland. Like you say, Manchester City can't rely on Haaland, and then he scores 157 goals in a month, you know?
Yeah.
Mbappé is one of those players that he can get you out of a difficult moment. He can turn the game on its head. And perfect example is the World Cup final, 2022, when France, through 75 minutes, were arguably getting played off the pitch in the most embarrassing fashion in a World Cup final in history. And he goes,
1 second.
Let me take care of business. Boom, boom. And then the entire dynamic of the game changes. That's what Kylian Mbappé brings to the table. And sure, as long as he's not injured,
look at the 3.
He can deliver.
Look at the 3 winless games. Liverpool, Vallecano, Elche. He didn't score. They didn't win. So when you introduced it, I actually chuckled because you said it's Kylian Mbappé and Real Madrid against Athletic Club.
Yeah.
You could have just said Kylian Mbappé. And also, he's clearly, we know there's a bit of unrest there. He's clearly buying into what Xabi Alonso is doing because it's working for him. And also, I've got to say flowers because he's had a lot of heat for Trent Alexander-Arnold.
So then,
2 good balls in that.
Would you say that Real Madrid winning trophies this year then relies on Kylian Mbappé and just Kylian Mbappé?
100%. You're 100% correct.
Yes, but collectively needs to come together, though, because last year he put up incredible numbers and they didn't win anything.
Yeah.
It was less of a protagonistic Mbappé, whereas, like you said, he's staked his claim this season already, whereas last season there was a little bit of that power dynamic that you didn't really know whose team it was. Now it's clearly Mbappe's leading the line in that sense. but his numbers last season were still incredible. I still want to see Real Madrid progress with their collective play. I think yesterday was their best away game of the season. And if we can get a little bit more of that, Xabi Alonso tweaked a couple of things.
But you think, though, then...
I think Real Madrid's onto something.
I agree with what you're saying, collectively. So then, if anything, he produced unbelievable numbers last season without that being there. He should get even more numbers. We could see this could be one of his best ever seasons.
I think he will. When you look at the numbers now, he's got 24 goals this season. Last season was 43, so he's already past half of that. He's on his way to getting 48 goals this year. I think,
which is ridiculous when you say it out loud.
But when you think to like Real Madrid and those big games, I'm going to take Liverpool Champions League as a perfect example. Liverpool, we know, are not in a great moment. Liverpool were able to band together, drop their ego, go right. We need to do a performance, whether it's just be defensively solid and do something. My concern with Real Madrid is where's the dogs? If Valverde's not the guy that's running around, if Rüdiger's not the one who's injected it, everything has to be perfect for them to win games and dominate games. I just think they need to add one or two more dogs into that already ridiculously talented team.
Is Jude not one of those guys? He kind of was for Real Madrid in that first season when he arrived, when they win the Champions League. Just emotionally, he was one of those guys to kind of like propel
and
Real
he
Madrid.
would probably argue he's not had his best start to the season, injuries and stuff. Again, with the shoulder, he's not really where he's at. I think when you don't really have when you don't have pre-season, I say this all the time. If you have a full pre-season, you feel like a beast going throughout the whole of the season. If you don't have a pre-season, you're always chasing, always getting little injuries and just continuous injuries. I think as well that the way that Xabi Alonso is asking him to play doesn't allow for, in my opinion, Jude's best work to be done.
You spoke a little bit about that back line, Antonio Rüdiger, Éder Militão. It was just the second time this season that we've been able to see the two of them in the back line together. Nico, how important is that duo, you think, for Real Madrid to push for trophies this season?
Yeah, I mean, just the experience, right? With all respect to Dean Huijsen, these are Real Madrid's two best players in defense, center backs, right?
Why did they buy him then?
To have depth, because you need to have depth. And not only that, to think forward. Real Madrid has always been at the forefront of renovating, of refreshing a squad. They had Vini in the back pocket. They went for Endrick. And jury's still out on whether he is a long-term solution. They went for Mastantuono. They went for Rodrigo. All of these guys, they're not perhaps thinking for now. Arda Güler, for example. You have Dean Huijsen for the long term. At one point, Rüdiger and Militão, they might have a date that's a limit for them that you might not see past. And Real Madrid is never afraid to be like, all right, bye, on to the next. But these guys, talk about dogs.
Yeah.
These guys plus Courtois in the back, these are game-winning defensive pillars of the team.
100%. And just to go to your point on Real Madrid, one thing I've always loved and admired about Real Madrid, people would say they kept Luka Modric probably too long. They kept Toni Kroos too long. They kept Marcelo. No, what they did, they kept a infrastructure of people that know what Real Madrid represents, what it means to win. And every time they bring new people in, it's right, you are going to be in that position. So they kept Toni Kroos and Modric when they had Jude Bellingham in there. Right, showing what it's like to be a midfielder for you. Now you're talking about Dean got in at the back. He's also got Rüdiger there, who's 32 years old, won Champions Leagues, won everything. Teach him what it's like. So this is why they have these people. We talk about culture. It becomes a buzzword in the world of football. Culture, environment. Now, these guys are the setters. They do it week in, week out. They've won it all. So as a new player, you walk in, you go, that's the standard. If I walk in this building and I want to talk about football, I have to be as good as Nico.
Right.
If I'm not as good as Nico, why bring me in? You know, that's just the level.
Try to be as good as me.
Oh, no, I'm being nice to you. You get the point, though, right?
I hate to do this because it's kind of like almost off topic, but something similar happened to the U.S. men's national team when they didn't qualify for the World Cup in 2018. There was such a strong, clean slate. The only survivor from before was Pulisic. So a lot of the new guys that were playing for the national team didn't have an elder statesman in the dressing room to establish that culture. And then suddenly you have a lot of these young, 22, 20-year-olds that are playing for the national team for the first time that don't have a base of culture and what it represents. And look what that begot for like the next couple of cycles, where you have entitlement, you have guys that think they're going to be playing all the time, and that aura around the men's national team, which was work, hustle, that kind of gave the U.S. a little bit of an intangible edge, was lost. Thanks for watching this video from Morning Footy. For all news and insights regarding leagues around the world like EFL, Serie A, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount+.